And I would never want someone else to be making those sort of plans, and I would never want someone else to not
I'm
be
so sorry that you have to grow up in a world where this is still present.
Of taking care of people also really feeds me. And I think that is in many ways.
So picture this, Meghan Markle in Paris, glowing, polished, and ready to make a statement. But oh honey, the moment she stepped out in that white-on-white gown, you could practically feel the tension in the air. Because this wasn't just a cute little fashion story. No, what went down next was a royal-level fashion drama. A story about how a duchess tried to rewrite luxury's rulebook and got completely shut down by the most powerful fashion house on the planet, Hermès. We're talking private requests turning into public humiliation, subtle rejections morphing into worldwide headlines, and an entire silent war fought through couture and coded symbolism. And when Hermès says no, they don't just close the door, darling. They make sure the whole world hears that door slam. And they make it look poetic while doing it.
You are not ready for this one. So it all started as something Meghan Markle thought would be this quiet, classy little favor. You know, the kind of luxury.
Let's rewind to late last year. Meghan's team reaches out to Hermès headquarters in Paris. And listen, this was not your everyday celebrity inquiry. No casual, hey, can we get on the wait list for a Birkin email? Nope. This was a full-on, custom design level request. Meghan wanted her own personal, never-seen-before Birkin, something that would scream global influence and philanthropic purpose. Apparently, the design brief was intense. Ethically sourced leather, gold-plated hardware, and, wait for it, an engraved quote from one of her own speeches. The kind of detail that says, "I'm not just rich, I'm meaningful." This custom masterpiece was supposed to make its grand debut at an upcoming Montecito charity gala, her official re-entry into the world of elite fashion.
Supposed to be a glamorous night. Glitzy lights, a humanitarian award, and a red carpet.
And honestly, it should have been simple. Celebs and royals get custom Hermès pieces all the time. This wasn't unheard of, but according to insiders in Paris, what came back wasn't your usual, "we'll see what we can do" response. Oh no, the reply was icy. The email from Hermès's International Relations Department was polished to perfection, almost too polite. But the subtext? Brutal.
Scarf is Meghan Markle wearing. The photo has been sent to me lots of times, but I happen to have the exact motif in my upcoming July 23rd.
It said, "Madame, Hermès does not accept external creative direction on heritage pieces. Our legacy is defined by the maison, not by collaboration translation. You don't redesign our history, sweetheart." Most people would have taken that elegant slap on the wrist, bowed out gracefully, and moved on. But Meghan's team? Oh, they were not done. Her senior stylist fired back within hours, suggesting that Meghan's design could redefine Hermès for a modern generation.
We were nesting and healing, and also, I don't know, I had the bandwidth.
Bold, right? Then the next day, Meghan's personal assistant jumps into the email chain, pushing hard on this luxury meets purpose narrative. As if to say, hey Hermès, don't you want to be woke? That's when the game changed. Apparently, Hermès decided they weren't going to keep this little exchange under wraps. A senior executive in Paris took the entire email thread, cleaned it up just enough to look professional, and quietly forwarded it to a small circle of top fashion editors. The framing? A modern celebrity's entitlement colliding with old-world craftsmanship. And just like that, the whispers began. No names, no direct quotes, just the perfect hint. A certain former royal attempted to dictate design language to Hermès this weekend. And the fashion world lives for that kind of gossip. It spread like perfume in a Paris ballroom. Quiet, refined, but absolutely devastating. Then one Parisian insider dropped 4 words that detonated the whole thing. They said no publicly. That was it. 4 words, and the story blew up.
And the $20 shoes that she got from a village that was making these shoes sold out all over.
Now here's the thing about Hermès. They don't leak, they don't gossip, their silence is legendary. That's literally part of their brand power. So the fact that this story started circulating, oh, it wasn't an accident. It was a statement. Hermès wanted the fashion world to know they were drawing a line, and they were making an example out of someone. Within hours, whispers turned into DMs. Stylists in Milan were texting each other. Hermès rejected her. No names needed. Everyone knew exactly who.
Support in year 1, where you have the show complementing the brand, where content and commerce are meeting.
At first, it stayed in the inner circles, the industry brunches, the private dinners. It wasn't tabloid material yet. But once it slipped into the blogs, honey, there was no going back. A French site called Leonde ran a headline that didn't even mention her name, just a photo of a Montecito sunset. Subtle, but everyone got it.
Meghan Markle just did the unthinkable. Not another interview, not a podcast rant. This time she went for the jugular.
Inside Montecito, chaos. Meghan was reportedly furious, not just because Hermès had said no, but because of how they did it. They made it sound like she was the one crossing a sacred boundary, like she was out of line. That same night, she called an emergency PR meeting. The mission? Get ahead of this. Her team started crafting a statement saying Meghan had actually been the one to politely decline a partnership because it didn't align with her ethical values. Smart spin, right? But she didn't realize Hermès was already 3 steps ahead. Before that statement even hit the press, the creative director of Hermès sat down for an interview with Le Figaro. When asked about the trend of celebrity collaborations, he delivered a masterclass in shade. Hermès doesn't collaborate, he said, we create. There is a difference. And just like that, the world's classiest clapback had been served. The interviewer pushed a bit further, testing the waters, asking if Hermès ever made exceptions for really big names. The creative director just smiled, that elegant French kind of smile, and dropped this bomb. When a name outweighs the craftsmanship, we must decline. The room gave this polite little laugh, but everyone in there knew exactly who he meant. He didn't need to say her name. The shade was crystal clear. By the next morning, social media had already translated it. Hermès rejects Meghan. Boom. It was everywhere. Trending on X, blowing up TikTok, people dissecting every pixel of this rumored bag scandal.
Here's the thing. Every time you think the Meghan Markle circus can't get any messier, someone lobs another grenade.
The memes came fast and furious. Split-screen pics of Meghan in her glamorous looks beside photos of the iconic Birkin. Captions like, "Not every door opens for a duchess." Brutal, unforgiving. And of course, late-night hosts jumped in too, making jokes about the world's most exclusive rejection. Inside Montecito, Meghan's team reportedly got one rule. Do not mention Hermès, like it was Voldemort. But Meghan, she wasn't backing down. She saw it not as defeat, but as a challenge.
Oh guys, grab your tea because Meghan Markle is boiling. Not simmering, not warm, we're talking full rolling boil.
Enter Operation Legacy Reset, her PR team's grand strategy to shift the narrative. The goal? Move the conversation from rejection and elitism to empowerment and ethics. And honestly, the rollout was smooth at first. A few days later, Meghan appeared in this soft white blouse in a charity video, speaking earnestly about the illusion of status and how true influence comes from impact, not labels, lovely words, right? Except fashion insiders instantly clocked it. That exact phrase, impact, not labels, it wasn't hers. It was the exact wording from a 2019 Hermès interview about luxury and humility. Word for word. The fashion world caught it instantly. Headlines blew up. Meghan subtly fires back at Hermès. Duchess calls out status culture days after Birkin snub. It was classic Meghan, polished, poised, and perfectly timed to look noble while keeping the drama alive. But Hermès, they were done playing. They issued one short, cold press statement. Hermès does not engage in public discourse. Period. And attached, a photo of their founder's handwritten quote, "Luxury is what you don't see." Translation, your noise only proves our point. It was brutal, effortless, the silent mic drop of the century. Still, Meghan's PR machine kept grinding. They started pitching collabs with eco-luxury brands and sustainability influencers, trying to crown Meghan as the new face of conscious high fashion. But reality hit hard. One by one, brands said no. A source from a major fashion house put it perfectly. Being associated with her after the Hermès mess felt radioactive. No one wanted to be seen as the rebound brand. And get this, insiders whispered that Hermès' senior leadership had quietly spread the word. Avoid any influencer tied to controversy. Not in writing, of course, just whispers. But in the fashion world, a whisper from Hermès? That's gospel. A columnist for Business of Fashion nailed it. When you try to edit a heritage brand, you don't change it. It edits you out. And that's exactly what was happening. Still, Meghan refused to fade away. She came back swinging with something new. The Own It campaign. The idea? Empower independent designers, celebrate sustainability, and bypass the luxury gatekeepers completely. The tagline? Luxury without permission. Bold, right? Except, chaos hit immediately. Half the designers she approached dropped out before the photo shoot. 2 photographers pulled the plug the day before, one even writing, "We admire your courage, but we can't risk our contracts." Oof. Weeks later, she accepted an invite to speak at a luxury ethics panel, her first real public event since Birkengate. And honestly, she handled it beautifully. Calm, composed, saying lines like, "The world tells women to know their place, but what if our place is at the table where decisions are made?" Polite applause followed. Not a standing ovation, but not cold either. For the first time in months, the narrative felt neutral again. Afterward, a journalist from Le Journal de Luxe approached her for a quick interview. Friendly tone, easy questions, until he dropped this one. Madam, if Hermès were to call you tomorrow, would you accept? Meghan hesitated for half a heartbeat, then smiled and said, I think the question is, would they be ready for me this time? Oh no, honey. That one sentence set Paris on fire. The second those words, would they be ready for me this time, left Meghan's lips, you could feel the collective gasp ripple through the fashion world. What she thought sounded confident came off, well, cocky. And the media ate it alive. By the next morning, headlines screamed, Meghan Markle challenges Hermès again. And would they be ready for me became the phrase that broke the internet. The fashion elite called it arrogant. Commentators said it sounded like someone who hadn't learned her lesson. The French press dubbed it la deuxième déclaration, the second declaration. And that's when it happened. Hermès dropped a single devastating line to French media. Hermès is always ready for timelessness. Elegant, effortless, absolutely lethal. From that moment, the conversation stopped being about handbags and became a full-blown power war. Pride versus prestige. Who would blink first? Because Hermès sure wasn't blinking. A few days later, at their Grand Paris showcase, Hermès delivered their response, not through words, but through art. The finale model strutted down the runway carrying a one-of-a-kind crimson Birkin, breathtakingly beautiful. And right near the clasp, in tiny gold letters, were two words, toujours prêt, always ready. Gasps filled the room. It wasn't subtle. Everyone knew exactly what it meant. It was a direct reply, poetic revenge in gold. Photos of the bag hit social media instantly. Hermès answers Meghan in art form. Always ready trends globally. In Montecito, Meghan reportedly watched the show on her iPad. She didn't move, didn't say a word, then whispered, they're mocking me in art form. Her husband tried to calm her, saying it could have been coincidence. Hermès always uses French phrases, but Meghan wasn't buying it. She knew this world spoke in symbols, not words, and that Birkin was aimed squarely at her. That night, she made a choice. No more chasing validation from people who'd already made it clear she didn't belong. No more begging for a seat at their table. She opened her phone and typed out a line that would become her next chapter. You can't reject a woman who builds her own table. That headline changed everything. Suddenly, Hollywood was paying attention. Streaming execs saw it as the perfect redemption arc. The Duchess versus the Empire. If she wins, she's the symbol of reinvention. If she loses, it's tragedy, one Netflix insider said. Either way, compelling television. So Meghan began documenting everything. Design meetings, sleepless nights, setbacks. She wanted to own the narrative, even the messy parts, but fashion never forgets. Meghan saw it the next morning over breakfast. She stared at her phone, silent for a long time, then said softly, they're sending a message. It reignited the conversation, sure, but this time, something shifted. People began to wonder, was this empowerment or obsession? Either way, Hermès stayed silent, the most devastating response of all.